Most people imagine a holy book in one of two ways. Either it drops into history as a finished volume, or it gets edited for generations until nobody can trace the original. The Qur'an fits neither picture. Muhammad did not leave behind a mass-produced bound book in the modern sense. But that does not mean the text was drifting in chaos. In the earliest Muslim sources, what you find instead is a preservation system built on public recitation, memorization, written fragments, and then a rapid effort to gather those materials into a single protected manuscript after his death. So here's the real question: if the Qur'an was gathered into one book after Muhammad died, is that supposed to be a problem? Or is that actually one of the reasons Muslims believe the text was preserved so carefully? That matters far beyond Muslim audiences, because in the United States most people know relatively little about Islam. And Pew says most Americans don't even know a Muslim personally. When a religion is widely discussed but poorly understood, bad history spreads fast. According to the strongest early reports, the Qur'an was already being preserved in two ways during Muhammad's lifetime. It was being recited and memorized by his followers, and it was also being written down by scribes. One of the key figures in that story is Zayd ibn Thabit. Described in Sahih al-Bukhari as one of the men who used to write the Revelation. Another major detail is that the angel Gabriel is reported to have reviewed the Qur'an with Muhammad every year in Ramadan, and twice in the year he died. So the traditional Muslim picture is not oral only and not writing only. It is both working together. The turning point came after Muhammad's death in the time of the first caliph, Abu Bakr. A major battle at Yamama led to heavy losses among the Qur'an reciters. In the famous report, Umar warns Abu Bakr that if more reciters die, part of the Qur'an could be lost from living memory. Abu Bakr hesitates at first because he is being asked to authorize something the Prophet had not done in this exact form. Then he accepts the argument and appoints Zayd ibn Thabit to gather the Quranic material into one manuscript. Zayd describes collecting it from palm stalks, stones, parchments, and from the memories of people who knew it by heart. Here is the first surprising fact that many viewers do not know. Abu Bakr's compilation was not presented in the sources as a giant public publishing campaign. It functioned more like a protected master copy. Bukhari says that manuscript remained first with Abu Bakr, then with Umar, and then with Hafsa, the daughter of Umar. That matters because it means the first project was about securing the text, not reinventing it. The point was preservation, not revision. The second major stage came later under the third caliph, Uthman. As Islam expanded into different regions, disagreements in recitation began, causing tension, especially among soldiers from Iraq and Syria. Uthman then borrowed the earlier manuscript material kept by Hafsa, had an official committee prepare standard copies, and sent those copies to major provinces. He also ordered other fragmentary materials and unofficial copies to be set aside or destroyed so the community would not fracture over competing written forms. That is why the most accurate summary is this: the Qur'an was written and memorized during Muhammad's life, collected into a single safeguarded manuscript after his death, and standardized into official copies under Uthman. Now here comes the obvious pushback: if they were still gathering and standardizing material after Muhammad's death, doesn't that prove uncertainty? Not necessarily. In fact, Muslim scholarship treats the process as evidence of how seriously the first generation took preservation. Later Sunni scholarship says Zayd did not simply write from memory, even though he himself knew the text. He worked through written materials, living recitation, and direct testimony. That is a very different picture from the modern internet claim that the Qur'an was made up later. Even the famous 70 memorizers died line should be used carefully. The al-Bukhari report emphasizes heavy losses, but the exact number is not the main point. The main point is that the danger felt real enough to trigger an official archival response. And then there is the manuscript evidence. The Birmingham Qur'an manuscript, according to the University of Birmingham, was radiocarbon dated to a range of 568 to 645 with 95.4% probability. That date range places the parchment extremely close to Muhammad's lifetime and the period of the first caliphs. In other words, the physical manuscript evidence is not pointing centuries later. At the same time, academic work on early manuscripts like the Sahih palimpsest shows that the early written history of the Qur'an is a real field of study with real complexity. Serious scholarship does not require you to choose between blind certainty and cynical denial. It shows a very early textual history, while still debating some details of transmission and use. One more nuance matters, especially in English-speaking debates. It is sloppy to say there are many different Qur'ans. But it is also sloppy to pretend there is no discussion at all about readings. Traditional Muslim scholarship speaks of one Qur'an text transmitted through accepted readings, or Qira'at, not 10 separate holy books. Qur'an, COM's Guide to the 10 Readings, explicitly says they should not be thought of as 10 separate texts. While academic scholarship notes that the canon of recognized readings took more defined shape over time. So the responsible way to say it is this: Muslims believe they are reading the same Qur'an. Even as the history of recitation includes authorized reading traditions and a long scholarly effort to document them. For an American audience, that is where the story becomes bigger than a niche religious question. This is not just about whether a 7th century scripture was before or after a death. It is about how communities preserve words they believe are sacred, how memory and writing can reinforce each other instead of competing, and how lazy public arguments collapse when primary sources are actually read. The strongest answer to the original question is simple. The Qur'an was not gathered into one official book before Muhammad's death. It was gathered after his death, first under Abu Bakr, and then standardized in copies under Uthman. But the deeper answer is more interesting. For Muslims, that history is not a weakness in the preservation claim. It is one of the reasons the claim exists in the first place. So maybe the real question is not whether the Qur'an was compiled after Muhammad's death. Maybe the real question is this: when a community preserves a text through living memory, written records, and early public standardization, should that make you trust the transmission more or less?